everything can change with a phone call. So I guess, in a way, this video's kind of dangerous, because if there is a transaction, a signing, a whatever it is, then this video will be quickly out of date. But today, we are talking about some of the newest discourse and some somewhat recent updates in regards to the Vancouver Canucks and their second-line center search. Starting out by Rick Dhaliwal, this was from last week when the Vancouver Canucks made the Dakota Joshua trade with the Toronto Maple Leafs for a fourth-round draft pick. Dhaliwal quote-tweeted this trade tweet, saying this: "Is there a match between the Vancouver Canucks and Jack Roslovic? There have been talks with the Canucks and his camp. The Canucks could also make another trade to get what they want if the UFA market does not work." And you could see that both of these tweets have a bunch of replies. A lot of fans are going out there and sharing their opinions as to whether or not a guy like Jack Roslovic is an appropriate Vancouver Canucks target. We have made some commentaries already about this dude, talked about his profile. He's 28 years old, 6'1", 194, still a free agent at the time of talking into this microphone. Last season, he had 39 points in 81 games played. 4 points in 9 games in the postseason, and he has been a fairly interesting player the past few years. You can see that his point production has been relatively consistent from year to year to year. 34 points in 2021, 45 the next year, followed up by 44, 31, so that's a little bit of a worse year here, but he was half a point a game for New York in the playoffs, and then this previous season he had 22 goals and 39 points. So consistent in terms of the straight-up hard numbers. Maybe not as consistent if you actually watch him play and you take a look at what he is on the ice, what he does on the ice, just the kind of player that he portrays himself as. An offensive skill guy with just kind of versatility down the middle when you need him to have it, but maybe not all the time does he bring it. That's sort of the problems, I would say, with Roslovic here. But Dhaliwal then expanded on the Roslovic conversation 2 days ago as well. For those asking, not sure where this goes, but the Canucks continue to talk with UFA Jack Roslovic's camp. So that was also another update. It hasn't seemed to have gone anywhere 2 days after the tweet was posted, but I guess we should just let it be known that it is happening. There are conversations that are going down. We just don't know whether or not that will result in an actual contract signing. Now, the reason we are making this video talking about concerns with Jack Roslovic and the Vancouver Canucks is because of an article posted by CanucksDaily.com's Edward Jackson from earlier this afternoon. Growing concerns come to the surface about Jack Roslovic's fit with the Vancouver Canucks. The reason this article is interesting is because it takes some commentary made by Harman Dale and Irfan Ghaffar on the Canucks Conversation podcast. Take a look at this. It'll be linked in the description. This entire article will be down there. But there was a little segment that was talked about earlier this morning. Let's go out there and read. So, during a recent edition of Canucks Conversation, Dale and Ghaffar discussed the possibility of the Vancouver Canucks signing Jack Roslovic. Dale seemed pretty open to the Canucks signing the 28-year-old, especially when considering what he did production-wise on a contending Hurricanes team last season, tying a career high in goals. While he didn't necessarily reject the option, however, Irfan Ghaffar mentioned that it's not going to be cheap, and used Christian Dvorak, someone Vancouver made an offer to back on July 1st, as a bit of an example, saying that Dvorak had fewer points than Roslovic last season and ended up getting $5.4 million on a one-year deal. Ghaffar went on to say that he likely wouldn't pay Roslovic more than $3.5 million on his next contract, and wondered if the ask is a bit high at the moment and if that's a reason why a deal hasn't been completed with the Canucks or any other team. Here's the quote from Irfan Ghaffar on the show. He puts up more points than Dvorak, and Dvorak got $5.4 million. I probably wouldn't pay him more than that. I probably wouldn't pay him more than $3.5 million. I wonder if the ask is a little high right now when it comes to a player like him, Gafar said. Now here's the thing about that. As somebody who watched Christian Dvorak and who has generally liked his game for the most part, Dvorak is a lot more reliable as a center down the middle who can be relied upon in all situations. I think there's a versatility to Dvorak's game that makes him worthwhile in earning more money than Jack Roslovic, especially if Dvorak is on a one-year deal, a prove-it situation. We gotta remember, the Vancouver Canucks did offer Dvorak money, but they offered him fewer dollars with more term. So he decided to bet on himself and go to Philadelphia, play with a coach that he had before in Mrtka, and try to up his earning potential for next season and beyond. Jack Roslovic, I don't necessarily know if he'll go down that same path, nor do I know if he's interested in betting on himself in the way that Christian Dvorak did, which allowed him to get $5.4 million. There is a very good reliability with Dvorak's game. While he may not produce as many points as Roslovic does, I do think that consistency plays a part into it, and Dvorak having the season that he had this previous year, I think it definitely added value there to his stock. The clip from Canucks Army is then posted here onto the article. Roslovic is still a free agent. Are there concerns over him as a fit in Vancouver, or is the asking price too high? Thankfully for Gafar and even the Vancouver Canucks, it doesn't look like Roslovic is looking for the same money that Dvorak got with Philadelphia, as Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects reported earlier this week that his club is seeking a multi-year, 2 or 3 year deal with an AAV of just over $3 million annually. Sounds like Roslovic's camp is looking for a 2 or 3 year deal at just over 3 per, Robinson said on Twitter. With less than 8 weeks to go until training camp commences, the Vancouver Canucks are going to need to decide pretty quickly, yada, yada, yada. Let's go over onto the tweet here and read just what exactly the replies are going out there and saying in regards to Jack Roslovic. There is a comment here from Robinson as well. There are a few teams interested in Roslovic, but Vancouver seems to be the most consistent. My understanding is they have a couple of options they are considering, though. So, big shout out over to DJP. Thank you for subscribing here to the YouTube channel whilst we are recording this video. But let's go out there and read some of the thoughts in the comments here. I'm surprised he hasn't been offered that yet. Seems like that's around the range Vancouver was expecting with clearing Joshua's cap hit. I actually would agree with that too. Dakota Joshua was making just around the same amount of money, and the thesis was, hey, if Vancouver wants to get a second-line center, they got to trade one. They got to trade Bluger, they got to trade Joshua. They traded Joshua for a 4th-round pick. And there you go. There is now $3-point-something million in cap space to sign a guy. Roslovic, if he's asking for exactly that, I am kind of surprised that the deal is not done at this point in time. Detroit should do it. Good deal. Roslovic had 40 points last season playing 13 minutes a night. Suter had 7 more points playing 17 minutes a night. Roslovic could be a 50-point guy with more minutes. Interesting. Casual alert. Yeah, but Suter is a center and way more defensively responsible than Roslovic. I didn't mind Roz as a Rangers fan. He's fun to watch, but he's a lazy player and he coasts. Mostly uninvolved aside from a flash 1 or 2 times a game where he'll try to dangle through 3 guys. Roslovic is a center too. He had a 54% face-off win rate last season. Suter had 42%. The Canucks as a team proved that they can kill penalties. Sure, Suter helped, but as a team, they improved. He didn't make up the entire PK. They also need some speed up front. Suter was one of the slowest players in the league. So, I guess there is another concern there. The work ethic and the defensive responsibility and the passion on the ice. I don't necessarily know if I want to see guys coasting along out there after all those years of watching JT Miller do it, but still. Jack Roslovic, Vancouver. Yay or nay if you're a Canucks fan? What are your thoughts on these numbers? What are your thoughts on these concerns? Do you think there's a primary concern? Do you think he is a good enough target for what Vancouver is looking for? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Jack Roslovic. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.